Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're in our number 20 talk um, for the month, I guess. And we are delighted today to welcome another woman publisher, another fighter who have a dream. If you know me, you know my passion for books, and I love to support the ones that are up there trying to make their dreams come true. And Beth Buckley is one of them. She have started her own publishing company, and we're gonna talk to her about her projects, her dreams, what she's working on for the future with her publishing company. She's based in Florida, and we are delighted to welcome her. Let's start with Beth Buckley. Let's see. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good. And you're a pro now in Instagram Live.
I wouldn't go that far, but I'm getting there thanks to you.
Thank you
It's
very
lovely to see your face.
Thank you very
Human connection is what I'm missing most, right?
Absolutely. Last time I get you, your hair was short. Now it's long
No,
and
look at
beautiful.
this. Is this not insane?
Amazing.
Is this not proof that I am staying home?
You are. And you are truly blonde. That's another one.
Yeah, well, no, not so much anymore.
I got a little, let's see, the connection it went off as soon as we talk about a truly blonde. Okay, now I got you.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No problem.
I've got about 4 inches of a color I don't recognize.
It looks amazing.
A lot of old hair, but I'm lucky to have it, so I'm grateful. But
That's true. Thank you so much. I was just telling everyone, how dynamic are you, and how hard you have worked to make your dream come true with your publishing company. I have to tell everyone that more than anything, I'm doing this to support our artists and the Art Design Project, our friends, the people that is out there fighting for the dreams, such as I do fight every day. And you have published a series of books. I was very lucky to be part of one. So I'm delighted.
we
And
were lucky to have you.
thank you very much. So how did you start, Beth? It's important for me to know how do you start this dream?
So, well, I won't go back too terribly far, but this is going back far. But I started my publishing love, the passion for publishing came when I was really young. I was given an opportunity at 18, I think it was 18 or 19 years old, to work for Scholastic Books.
Wow.
And I had this amazing woman who became a mentor first and then a dear friend, who was much older than I was, and really just took me under her wing, believed in me. I was very opinionated and vocal about what I thought needed to happen in the children's book business, and she listened. And that's kind of where it all started, just this love for print and the power that print had. And at that time, the power it had over children. I don't know if you remember the book fairs and the Reading Rainbow. That was all created while I was there.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. So that was the first start, and then life got in the way, and I had to have just jobs, and I eventually ended up in the magazine business, which I am really passionate about and very opinionated about as well. And I spent a lot of time in the magazine world, mostly in the shelter industry and design. Got a little, what's the word? I was a bit of a disgruntled lover of magazines. I didn't like where I saw some of the things going. And what I really believed, Juan, and I still believe, and it's really frustrating because I wish we could do it like so much bigger than we can, is that beauty, which I think is so important to all of us, right? It's what I love about what you're doing with art. And I had spent some time in the art world as well. And I realized that beauty is sort of diluted by who's in charge of exposing us to it, right? And I
Yep.
thought, right?
Yeah, it is. I think, editors of books and editors of magazines have two different personalities, and at the same time they see things in a very different way. I think they have the pressure of the advertisers, and for
Correct.
that things are getting a little bit too out of the way, I would say.
It's kind of like politics. I mean, it's sort of like lobbyists, like if all your money's coming from, big oil, it changes the decision making. And so hardcover coffee table books for me became a way to not, it's not a perfect system, but to not dilute beauty or to be sort of handcuffed to those advertisers. It still has a business model to it, and it still has to be, there has to be a financial wherewithal to make it come to fruition. But it's a way, if you are true to the curation, and I look at every book I do like I'm curating a gallery, and it becomes this permanent exhibition. But
And it's timeless. It's something that is
completely.
there. A magazine, just very difficult to, I keep magazines, but
I do too.
but at the same time, a book, the hardness of the cover. We have been having the incredible chance to speak with a couple of book publishers this week, and we're going to
Yes.
speak with another one next week. And I would say that timeless is the right word for a book. And what you have done as a woman fighting in this very strong male business, I would say.
Yes.
That's the reason that I dedicated this week to women's and publishing. It is just hard, when you put your name out there and you try to tell stories, and for how long it's been your publishing company out, independently out?
Well, technically, I started, oh gosh, and my memory's terrible, but technically I went on my own the first time in 2000 and I want to say 6-ish. And then I ended up going into a partnership with two men, never did that again. And then went very quickly out on my own and realized that in order to have the authentic voice that I wanted to have, whether that was accepted or not, whether that was going to be successful or not, it was my only choice that
Absolutely,
I needed.
absolutely. And I think you have been, a fighter of that. And we're gonna tell everybody now that you have tell us about your beginning. We're going to talk about all the books that you have published on your own, and at the same time your future projects, your current projects, your passions, your travels. You have an extraordinary daughter, very smart as well, which I get the chance to meet, and all the sort of women power, that is so necessary at this time. What was the first book that we can talk about it, today, that you would like to talk about it?
Well, but we could kind of start in the beginning of this phase of this imprint, this company, and that would be the book I Do. And I'll tell you a quick story, because I think a lot of women will relate to this story, right? Because it's really candid and honest. I was with a larger company and publishing company, and I was traveling constantly. My precious daughter you mentioned, I gave birth to her, and literally 3 weeks later I was on a plane to New York, and I was commuting back and forth to Manhattan every other week, and I did this for 5 years, and I found myself more and more with this conflict that so many women who are ambitious and have dreams find themselves in. That I was sitting in a boardroom with a bunch of men in the publishing business and in the Harvard Club or somewhere in New York. And I remember sort of doodling, thinking, how many more meetings do we need to have
To resolve this
accomplish,
situation.
right? And I thought, it's, and at the end of every meeting, the big thing that all the men wanted to do was schedule the next meeting. And that was interfering with my life. that was interfering with the balance that I was trying to strike, that I felt was so important. And I saw how unnecessary some of this, you know, kind of busy work was. And that really, really had a lot to do with my, you know, jumping off that ledge and going on my own.
And you
so,
decide to say to yourself, I do?
No, but my daughter, who was very young at the time, was helpful in creating sort of the tagline of our company, which I was struggling with, Beth Buckley Books. And she said, "Mom, be bold." And that became our tagline that you see in all of our logos and whatever. Yeah. So I had done a lot of interior design books and architecture books, hundreds of titles over the years. And what I love about every book that I do, before we go specifically to I Do, is I love how this allows me to be around creative people. I love creative people. I love everything about them, even the difficult parts of them, which is typical, right, of someone who's creative. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, I think we just have to, when we talk to a creative people, now that I have 34, I never thought that I would have 34 artists representing them worldwide. You know,
congratulations, it's amazing.
Hence, I realized that the best thing to do is just to let them decide what they wanted to do. You know, they usually ask me what you will do. And I said, well, why don't you just push me with the first idea that you have, and then I can give you my opinion. But I never give my first opinion to them. I guess because I have been giving so much opinions as an interior designer, you know, and I realized that I'm a psychologist and an accounting and a lawyer and a designer. And at the end of the way, you know, the only thing that you're trying to find out and trying to achieve is your decision prevail, you know, at the end of the road. That's the reason that they hire you, no? They hire you, you know. Sometimes you go out with a client to a furniture store and the client asks the salesperson, what do they think? I'm like, hello, I'm here. So I know. Yeah. So I think, you know, part of that, you know, you are around to creative people, but certainly in my personal experience, when you invite me to be part of this book, you know, I realized that you really knew how to give me your personal opinion in a very diplomat way, you know, and I went around and I think the results were great, and we're going to see them very soon. It's a very popular book, some like it hot. But, you know, in this I Do book, you know, I can tell you I have never discussed a wedding situation before, you know. and I know that to do a book of weddings, you know, is your first book. It was something kind of also emotional, no?
It was, because it wasn't technically supposed to be my first book. It was a book that I had started under this other partnership. And I was passionate about giving the voice and the value to, you know, creativity isn't just in art, and creativity isn't just in interior design. I mean, there are people, you know, in so many different ways. I mean, look at this beautiful photography you're seeing. This takes thought, this takes purpose, this takes understanding, and it takes collaboration, like you and I were just talking about, because we're all better when we collaborate, all of us. And, you know, there's anything that creates beauty to me is what I want to be around.
Yeah. And keep in mind, I'm sorry to interrupt you, this was done 16 years ago. So
a long time ago.
A long time ago. So 16 years ago, I guess we were still in the sort of Martha Stewart umbrella, number one. And number two, I would say there were no books for party planners of weddings. They were more magazines about it.
Well, there were, though, Juan, and that was one of the motivations, is that, you know, you had the Colin Cowells and the Preston Baileys and the Martha Stewarts.
Oh, well, yes.
And, you know, but again, that's that diluting of beauty to me. When so few, if you walk into the bookstore and you're planning your own wedding, you're limited to what someone else has decided is beautiful enough to share. And in our books, we have this ability to dig really deep in particularly in a region, and showcase talent that wouldn't otherwise be seen on that level, in that scale.
And it's a great, great project, you know. And then you jump from this I Do book, because I really wanted to, you know, Instagram only give us an hour, and believe it or not, I use this, you know, as a controlling situation of the time.
Very nice. Love it.
Know, I wanted to be able to discuss all of that. Then you jump to the second title after the success of this first book. How do you call it?
Are you jumping to Love is Love?
Yes, which I think is so now.
This book is so important to me. I can't even tell you. Love is Love is the very first LGBTQ plus wedding book ever done in Amazing. A hardcover, collective, you know, national, international way.
And that was 10 years ago?
Has it been? No, it hasn't been that long. No, this book I think came out in 2017. What
a great time, you know?
Yeah. And again, you know, a lot of things are, you know, come in life as a result of frustration, but having, you know, spent some time in the wedding world, I became really frustrated with the fact that those who seem to be responsible for the wedding industry, right, without naming names again, why there weren't books out there that they were creating showing two men getting married, two women getting married, interracial marriages. So we set out to curate a book filled with diversity. And I feel really strongly about this because the answers that I got from those powerful people is that there isn't a market for it. They won't, that gay marriages, quite honestly, what I've heard from a lot of people, have smaller budgets. So, you know.
I wouldn't be surprised about that.
Right. Well, there's a lot of reasons behind that aren't good, right? So that they're going off to the courthouse. And that really pushed me. And that pushed me to say, I'm going to make this book. It is going to be a breathtakingly beautiful book so that every young person, old person, everyone can envision, can see something in print that mirrors what they're seeing in their imagination of what, you know, what their wedding might look like someday. And it was horrifying to me, quite honestly. Nothing like that existed for young people who are fantasizing about their marriage someday. You know, it doesn't look like Barbie and Ken. It looks like the pages in this book. And we're really proud of this book.
It's great because you were able to somehow to show everyone, you know, the interracial weddings, yes. The man and man, woman and woman, black and white, green and blue, whatever, you know. It's just really, it's going to be part of history, you know.
It is, and it was so fun to do. I just got out of a meeting, as a matter of fact, talking about some new stuff we're doing around this book. You know, Pride Month has been rightfully sort of set aside, if you will, for a much bigger issue right now. Well, bigger may be the wrong word, but a really important issue we're dealing with right now with racism in our country. But this book, I'm proud, really has an immense amount of diversity across the board. And it's timeless. It will last forever.
I'm so glad. Congratulations for that. It's a really great, you know, gift to humanity, I would say. You know, the people are able to see that things could be documented. There were no actors. They were real weddings.
Oh, all real weddings. No staged weddings. No.
That's the most fun part of.
Yes. Yes. And I got to meet some of them. And I went to Denver for a big launch event that we had, and had the best time, and, you know, spent the evening celebrating with many of the
people. Then you jumped, you know, after 2 wedding books and being back to your passion, which is more design and interiors and architectural, and then you have done a couple of commissions for some clients that it is important. It's important to know that everybody could have a book. You know, it's funny. My mother is a person that uses lots of short sentences and for everything, and they're just timeless. I one day decided to ask her to put all the sentences, and there were almost 400. So I just did a book for her, and it was easy, you know,
Yeah.
because it's like she's saying, "Oh, it's raining, but it's blue," or whatever, you know, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
everybody can have a book, you know, and
Everybody.
I encourage all my artists to produce their own book. It's not a portfolio; it's a book. You know, you can.
It's funny that you say that, because I have been struggling with how to communicate to the design community that, you know, do I, you know, get out there on like you will have and invited me, which is great. And I can touch on it, but this is such an important time for the design community to take ownership of their own path, right? Moving forward. And everybody's sort of scurrying around following whatever, you know, is hitting, and, you know, where are the likes and where are the this? And I think that that's a mistake, because I think we need to step back and we need to take ownership. And the savviest of designers aren't always, they're not always as forward thinking or as brave, I guess, as bold as they need to do. But this is really a time where every designer should be cataloging their photography. Every designer should be making sure that they hire the best photographers and document their work. It's like not taking a picture of my daughter, you know, at age 6. I mean, you have to photograph. And so that you can have this legacy, if you so choose, to share with the world.
Yeah.
In the book.
I do believe so. You know, I did my first book, and it was not about myself. It was about Latin style, and it was part of a brand that I was going to launch.
Beautiful book.
Yeah, and I have the rights of the second one, and eventually we'll publish it. You know, it's a dream. Do I want to publish it for myself? I don't. If I don't sell it, it's no problem with me. But at least I have it. You know, every book on the back I have read, I have watched, I have enjoyed. But what was that defined sort of crossover? What was the book of design that you wanted to talk about next?
The let's talk about Some Like It Hot, because that's a really hot book.
And it's, you know, I have to say.
And you're one of the hot designers in it.
I am excited. There were 50, I would say. How many?
30.
30.
It's always a tough call. You know, it's always a tough call what that number should be. Again, getting back to curating a gallery, like you don't want too many and you don't want too few. And, you know, it always comes down to the work, right? The talent and the work. I don't care if somebody doesn't have followers. I don't care if somebody hasn't been, you know, published in, you know, one of the big magazines. What I care about is the work. And someone out there might have 30 years worth of work, and someone else in the book might have had 1 or 2 projects, but they're exceptional, right? And you can see and feel that talent.
Yeah. And you certainly did a selection in Florida. Of course, there are many people they're missing there. They're very talented people, but they, you know, certain, as you mentioned before, they have not documented their careers, or they have don't have any interest to be part of the book, or they're incredibly private. Like myself, I have many projects that my clients don't allow me to photograph, to be part 100%. Of it. I completely understand that. When that happened, you know, before I sign a contract, at least I tell them, you know, let me photograph at least 4 images. I know you're very private. I will never mention your name, your location. But, you know, it's your life. You know, you put your talent and your life about it. And one of the amazing designers that you have here in one of these books, we cannot show them all, is Fanny Hine, I believe, no?
Amazing.
She's an extraordinary Colombian, also woman who have worked here in Florida for many years, and she's so talented. And why do you choose her? What is it? What's kind of what?
She's as lovely, by the way, as she is talented, which, you know, is meaningful to me. You know, Fanny is one of those that has a you know, a sort of a lifetime of work, and she makes the curating process rather easy. However, I think that it's not necessarily, it can sometimes be more challenging in a way to work with the plethora of photography that a Fanny Heim has, because you're, you know, putting these books together. And I heard a lot from the designers after the book came out about praising sort of the continuity and you know, how it flows. That's really important to us. You know, every book has sort of a theme song and a palette. Just as a designer, you know, puts together that storyboard for a home, we do the same thing. So this isn't just throwing, you know, people in there. So when we go to look at and ask for, you know, the photography and as much photography as we can, we then choose what we feel is best, not just representing the work of the client, but what works within the pages of the book, which makes the overall project better for everybody. Yeah. But Fanny's amazing. She, you know, she has these breathtakingly beautiful, clean lines. I love her use of natural, sort of, there's an organicness to her modernism that I personally love. And I think it's hard to pull off, because sometimes you see the ultra, you know, the uber contemporary, and you feel nothing of nature in it, right?
Absolutely.
Right. And Fanny does this, and so many others in the book, but these are the kinds of things that we're looking for when we're looking at the work.
We have the next one here, which I think is Sam Robbins, I guess.
Oh, another one. Yes.
Yes, which is a very talented as well, sort of like a staple here in Florida. Wonderful, very talented designer.
Very.
Then we have another one, and you can see the level of color, how beautiful the scenes are, you know, and everything is quite a wonderful decor inspirational book.
It is. It's and here's Robert Rionda, which, by the way, Robert Rionda was the very first designer that I reached out to.
How wonderful. Very talented.
Months ahead of really kicking off or launching the curating of the gallery, so to speak. And I met with Robert, and we had lunch, and you know, what a great human being. One of the most important things that we have to have happen to make a book great is collaboration, is sort of the buy-in to the fact that this is something we're all doing together. And Robert was so gracious. I can't know every designer. I can do research, you know, till the cows come home, but I can't know everybody and to look at, right? And 99 or 90% of what we look at, we choose not to pursue, right? For whatever the reason. It doesn't mean the work is bad, but it may not be the right work for this book. And Robert was so gracious, and he introduced me to just some of the most amazing designs, some of which came in the book, some of which did not. But I still am following them and still watching them, and I'm really grateful. Robert is an amazing talent.
But it could be also some like a too.
Oh, of course, yes.
Yes, and you know, I love the fact that all these fantastic designers, you know, now lately I've been just looking in the art that they select on the walls. That's kind of like my. I used to look at the furniture, now and like completely kind of evolve in my eye, you know, and then we have this another wonderful designer,
Mr. Poggi.
Yeah, Juan Poggi, which is a fantastic, also very talented designer from Peru, who has worked in Miami for many years, and he works in Spain and in France, and he's quite himself a fun guy and a very talented too. Yes.
And a talented chef, if I might say.
Well, I have the chance, but I hear.
You've probably heard the rumors. Well, it's true. And I feel privileged to know that. But also, Juan has been, you know, spending his time during this, you know, pause that we've all had the opportunity to take. And he's designing a furniture line that is incredible. I love I love what you're doing right now because it's very meaningful to me because it's what I'm all about, which is sharing and lifting each other up. And we're all complex human beings with lots of talent. And Juan has a furniture line that we gave a little sneak peek to on our Instagram, one of our Instagram stories that I hope everybody goes to look at. But I want to back up for a second about what you said about art, because you and I have something in common right now, which is, you said you're starting to look now at the designers, the attention, right? To what's on the wall. That has probably been one of the most important things we look for. In all the years that I've been publishing is how a designer utilizes art and what quality of art they use. And it's really important and great timing that you just showed the fabulous Sharon Lannon.
Yeah,
this has turned out to be our cover girl. We did not know that.
That's fantastic. Yeah, lovely use of colors, very very general. And I'm gonna show mine, which is the last selection.
Yay!
I shouldn't, but that was.
Oh, it never doesn't just blow me away, really.
Thank you. No, I this is the house of, just for the people that want to know. I guess I can speak more properly about this. This is a house of a very important collector in Sunset Harbor. There was actually the last house, the old house of one of the Bee Gees, which kind of like knocked it down, did a fantastic architectural by a guy named William Ramos, and I did the interiors. And it's funny, we have a Niedermeyer Chase Lounge that is beautiful that we got from the collection of Alberto Chejevar to the client house, and this amazing Chinese picture on the back, which is done with ashes for all the temples in Burma. And it's all about the art in this house and the cleanness, and it's one of my favorite projects. So I'm glad I was part of that, and thank you.
How old is that project? Because that's a really important thing that I think a lot of the designers that we speak to will say, well, I don't have anything new, or I'm waiting for what's new to shoot. And very often, older work is better.
I did the project like 10 years ago, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah, 10 years ago. And actually, I was lucky enough that one of the greatest photographers in town, Troy Campbell, was the person who photographed it. And he's your constant collaborator also. He's a photographer, a great artist, who I've been fighting to trying to get part of my roster, but he's still not yet given me that vote of confidence. But I will keep fighting. But he's very talented, and I love his approach of architecture and light and the space, and how he really actually, in many of the projects that he photographed for your book, which I would say they were just absolutely clean and perfect, It's great great young man, and very, very talented. So
Troy is a gift. I mean, he's a gift to me. I sought him out 20 years ago, almost 15 years ago.
He was what, 12? He's so young.
He's still that young. Like you and I are 54 now, but he's still 12, right?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I kept getting submissions from designers with this. I again won't name names because I don't want to be unkind, but just a lot of photography from like the best photographers, and it was dark and it was yellowed, and they had the lighting was terrible, and I was searching like, please, I've got to find a photographer because I don't want to publish this work. So I figured the only way to deal with this is to go out there and find a photographer that I could refer people, and that hopefully I would start getting the photography I wanted. And I somehow came across Troy. We met at a Whole Foods cafe, like I said, 15, 20 years ago, and the rest is history. He is lovely. He is talented. He's fun to work with.
He's great. He has photographed my house, a couple of projects, and he's incredibly talented.
Yes.
This book is, I hope you can do a second part, because I think there's so many talents in Florida. Especially, and I think a second edition and a third edition will be amazing. So then you went back, and then after, before that, we have a couple more books that before we go into the future projects that you are working, that you did. I have New View.
New View.
Yes. Tell us about that one.
So New View is that's a mock cover that you're seeing. We don't commit to anything until it actually happens, but we are in the process of curating New View right now. This is a book about Florida architecture. So it's sort of a sister book to Hot, in that, you know, Hot was 30 of Florida's best interior designers, and this is on architecture. And I'm a real architecture snob. I actually, a lot of people don't know this, but my first husband was an architect, and we owned an architectural firm together. And
wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know not a lot of people do, but yeah, so I'm really passionate and always have been about architecture. I think it changes the world. I think it changes the way we see the world, how we live, how we love, as I do feel that way about interior design. But so New View will probably have about 30, not sure what the number. We never commit to that because it is based on talent. We have amazing people in the book already. Max Strang, who I worship. Can I just tell you, if you don't know who he is? Oh my God. I literally, he's one of those that I could walk into any one of his homes, you know, with a backpack and never have to leave. Haya Kadar, who I also absolutely adore. Just on a side note, you know, she's an amazing female architect. She does other work, you know, she's working on a project in Vietnam that's amazing. She's a lovely human being. We have had in the queue, if you will, for quite some time, a national book on female architects that we intend to do. We also have Guy Peterson and Richard Skinner, Mark Sultana, lots of great talent. And we're still in the curating process. So we're about halfway done.
How wonderful, how wonderful. And then let's just take a look. I have so many books that you have.
And New View will come out in, you know, roughly the first quarter of 2021.
Great, great. We have so many books that you have published, but we cannot talk about all of them.
Yeah.
There is another book that is important for me, which is very now, which is
Yeah.
the Equal and Empowerment book. Very also current topic.
Yep.
Tell us about it.
Well, this is an interesting book. It wasn't a book that was on our curating, you know, list. This book came to us through a group of young students who had won a grant through the philanthropy tank, you know, of Palm Beach, which is, you know, women, powerful women who are dedicated to supporting and helping young people, young women, make change and hear their voices or have their voices heard. And this came from a club, if you can believe this, a high school club called Equaled and Empowered. And then they wanted to do a book with this grant that they had received so that they could reach more people, reach more students. And we took it from this really small kind of clubby local thing to worldwide. And we got submissions from young men and women of all ages. We have kids like 6 years old, you know, all the way up who have contributed to this book. We took submissions from all over the world. So we have girls from, you know, other continents who made submissions, and we went through and put together this beautiful book about how these young people feel about feminism, whether it be through art, poetry, storytelling. It's absolutely a beautiful book.
Yeah, no, and also
Very
it's
timely.
accompanied by beautiful images and poets.
Oh, it's just beautiful, and it is very timely. You know, I mean, it's important. It's important that a lot more of these books get out there, and a lot more love is love books get out there. I mean, I plead to everyone who has the ability. I mean, I don't feel in competition or racing to get to anywhere with the publishing. I want us all to do the right thing, and publish, you know, people of color and voices of all walks of life.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, just to know, you know, this wonderful message. You have so many other books. Is anything that you wanted to choose? We just don't want to. We wanted to get them some minutes as well for talking about a message for the new people who wanted to be an entrepreneurs and like you and start their company, or people who wanted to do their own book or find help for that. You know, I decided to speak about publishing women this week because they're so important, you know, and also our artists need them, you know, men's and women's. Next week, tomorrow we have a fantastic writer and curator, Ana Dominguez from Madrid, who have done amazing catalogs and works and books for greater designers, and Gaetano Pecci and many other, Patricia Urquiola, architects and designers. So we're going to talk to her, and the following week we have a book publication from Barcelona and some other artists that we're going to keep pushing from our roster. But
yeah, that's amazing.
Thank you. What you have another projects for another designers that have reached
I
out
have
to?
two other projects that I'll briefly mention. West Coast Modish, which is a book for designers in the West Coast, so Washington, Oregon, and California. And that is a very cool book. It's a very different look and feel from the Hot book. It has a very kind of, you know, California modish look, if you will. We're really excited about that. And then Jennifer Garricuse, which is someone who's dear to me professionally and personally, who I've known for many years through business, through publishing her in past books. I have the privilege of been working on her book, her custom book, that we will hopefully see in the next year or two come out. These books take a long time. Look at her work. She's phenomenal. And this is a book. This is everything. This is her memoir. This is her gift of beauty that she's given, her travel, her, you know, the start of her career in America as a model. It's going to be fascinating. I'm loving doing it. What a privilege to be able to do it. But to address real quick about what to say to other people who want to, you know, one, if you want to become a publisher, please do. Like, you know, like, let's talk and let's work together. And, you know, there's a responsibility that publishing houses can choose to have or not. We need to work on distribution. The book business needs to, you know, shake things around a little bit and figure out, you know, navigate what's next, like we all are.
And sorry, and also while you're talking.
Oh, there's Troy. There's our friend Troy.
I don't want to lose a chance to see how you do the behind the scenes. And when you were talking about the California book, I'm sorry, I was not able to find the images right away. Here are some of the images that you are showing for your next book.
Yeah, that's Cliff Fong, who's just an extraordinary talent out in California. And, you know, what I would say...
when do you think this book is going to come out?
I think that West Coast Modish will probably come out around a similar time frame to New View. They both should hit the market at the first of 2021, which I think is going to be a great time for all of us. I think we're going to be in a better place. I'm hopeful that we're going to be in a better place. You know, sales for books are doing very well. Hardcover coffee table books do very well now. So I think it's a really great time for everyone. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the future. I kind of enjoyed this little pause. I heard one of your interviews the other day and talking about nature, and nature's always meant a lot to me, and it's inspiring. But I love that we all had this shared moment, right? We all kind of shared together a walk in the woods. And now
and it's funny because Yeah, it's funny because you got the beginning of the pandemic and you were in Asia. You
Yes.
took it to Asia and it was very inspirational. And there's some pictures that you sent me
Ah, yes, yes.
that I want to share with people. Here they are. You know, that's your daughter. And I want to talk about the humanity of these inspirational trips, you know, and how important they are for people, you know, to travel and to
Well,
open.
you know, I mean, you know personally because you've been to the same areas that I went to, how life-changing it is.
It is.
We spent a month traveling to Vietnam, Cambodia, Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand, and you know, architecturally and design-wise, to not have that exposure, you know, to see the colors, to see even the architecture of Halong Bay, right? Which, you know, I mean, just this extraordinary, breathtaking place. Look at those colors, by the way. I mean,
Yeah,
that's like on the side of the road, you know, like a dirty little spot on the road, and it's so breathtaking if you look. And
yeah,
that's why travel's so important to do what I do. And
absolutely.
I think the designers and architects feel the same.
Yeah, I
Really
totally agree
critical.
with you. I think travel, you know, the I have to travel, Diana Brilla
Yeah.
used to say. You know, I think it's very important to be able to photograph and document these amazing places. My year in Asia, you know, I went to find myself, supposedly. I didn't find
Yep.
anything. I actually came back. Actually came back like I don't want anybody around me. It was actually very, very helpful and very, it's a great healing process that I have, you
Yep.
know, within this trip to being alone in 11 countries for 1 year. It's
Wow.
very, very interesting. And Halong Bay is just one of the most magical places in Vietnam. But we
Right.
do have also some magical places here. Like this year, I'm planning to explore America. You know, I'm
Yes.
planning to go to this to Colorado, to Santa Fe, to all these places that I've never been. You know, and I'm
Good
very
for
curious.
you. Good for you, Juan, and you should, because we've you know, you mentioned my daughter. I think I don't know how many states she has left to see, every state in the United States. I think she's down to 6. And
Wow.
so we had set the goal that, you know, she would see everything before she graduated high school, and that's next year. So as soon as we can, we are going to hit the road and finish up, you know, seeing the parts of our country that are beautiful. And I mean all of them. I'm not just talking about, you know, Zion National Park, but Detroit, Michigan, which is gorgeous.
Yeah.
You know, just all of that. Like, we've had a lot of fun with road trips and plane trips and everything in the United States. And good for you, because I think there's a lot of beautiful places and beautiful people to meet and to see.
Absolutely. What
Yeah.
is your what is the publishing company that really inspired you, and what they
Oh, there's so many. You know, from an aesthetic, I've always been a Taschen, you know, fan, obviously.
my dear friend Benedict Dashen, who married
Pardon
a
me?
Miami girl, Lauren Weiner. Yes.
I lost you for just 1 second, Juan. I'm so
No,
sorry.
I'm lucky enough to know Benedict and his
Yes.
current wife, a friend of mine, Lauren Weiner. She used to live in Miami. They're a great couple, and I love his book.
Beautiful work. Just, I mean, you know, I don't know that anybody couldn't, I mean, you know, just from a design standpoint, from a, you know, they're brave, they're bold, you know, there's, and that's tough to
Oh,
do in the publishing world, because it's, you know, there's this formula and that everybody's kind of, you know, trying to deal with. And, but so, yeah, they're huge. You know, there were some that I used to be a great admirer of that I feel like have kind of let themselves go. But that'll change. I mean, we all have moments like that. And honestly, I'm a big reader. I tell you, one of my favorite little series right now, this has nothing to do with our publishing world, but it's called A Very Short Introduction. And they have a series of these lovely, I wish I had one close to me, lovely little books on every subject you can imagine. And it's by Oxford Press. And
wonderful.
they get like these phenomenal experts on beauty. There's one on racism. There's one on, I mean, every epidemiology, you name it. They have, you know, philosophy, that's one of my favorite publishing series, having nothing to do with this world of hardcover publishing.
Short and quick. That's one.
They're brilliant. They're just brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm so grateful you have the chance to speak with us today to tell us about your dream as a woman, doing this great project, which is your company. I can see here Deborah Westerman saying hi. Another person that was part of
Hi,
your
Deborah.
book, a very talented person as well.
Very.
And Ana Dominguez Siemens, which will be with us tomorrow, talking about his incredible projects. He's a dear friend who lives around books and who is just a genius, a creative genius in the world of, working for Gaetano Pesci, for Patricia Urquiola, for just the best people in the design world. So for me, to be able to reach up to all these amazing friends that have passed through my life, and talk to them, not to ask for business, not to generate business. No, I don't want to be interviewed by I don't, I, of course I need to work, and for that I'm promoting my artists. But what a better platform for me, to be able to be here at noon at my home, which anyway, I'm not going anywhere, and take the time to promote my 34 artists. And then in the middle of that, why not talk about the people who are doing books and who are doing industry on their own?
I think it's brilliant. I think you're like the next Andy Cohen of like IGTV. I'm not kidding. I think you are the perfect person for this. I think it's fabulous. I think it's going to take off, and I really do. And I'm grateful for your motivation.
Of course, and also very, very humbled by the opportunity to be part of your book. I think these collaborations are good to show. And it's important to take advantage of somebody who wanted to be part of your life in such a way. I was lucky enough to sign with a great company, Thomas Nelson, for my first two books, and it was such a wonderful ride. I think everybody should have a book. And plant a tree, have a book, have a kid. It's just wonderful things to do. So to be able to talk to you about it, and it's just great. Sell more books, educate more people, print more beauty. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate that.
Mwah. Ciao.
Yeah. Ciao. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. See you guys tomorrow at noon.